Hi, my name's Chuck Lanham Jr. with Lanham Window Company in Fort Worth, Texas. And one of the things that I'm going to show you today is I'm going to show you exactly how we install a window into a brick house. Now there's so many videos that you've seen across YouTube and the entire internet that show you how to install windows, but they might be showing you a house that's built up in the Northeast area, maybe in Boston, Massachusetts. Well, it's a totally different house than what we have down here in Texas. So the whole point of our video today is to show you how to install a window into a home that's actually built in Texas with a brick facade on the outside. And our candidate today is actually going to be an aluminum frame window, and it's single pane. And so I hope that you'll learn something today, and if you have any feedback for us at the end, if you'd send us an email or give us a call, we'd sure appreciate the feedback. Alright, one of the first things that we want to do, it almost seems logical that you would do this, but it's very, very important that we double check our size of our window before we actually remove it. How sad would it be? You get the window out and the window you have to go back in doesn't actually match. So you always want to measure it, and of course what we're doing is we're measuring to go brick to brick. And all of our windows are custom made, so they'll be made to the nearest eighth of an inch. So you always want to measure the width and the height, and just make sure that that matches the window that you've actually got to go in. Now, one of the other things that I want to direct your attention to here in a moment, brick house. Remember I talked about the houses that are in Texas? Brick house always has first row of bricks all the way around. There'll be an opening there, and that opening is your weep holes. That allows the walls to be able to breathe. Now, we can't go and clog those up. One of the things that you're going to experience on the inside, and this is one of the things that these homeowners have experienced, is the drafts that's coming into the window. Well, it's because of those weep holes that are around there. So we don't want to clog those up. And in a moment, once we get the window out, we're going to show you what we actually do to stop that draft from coming in, because if we don't do the insulation around the perimeter the way that we do it, regardless of how great the window is, it's still going to leak air because of the weep holes that's into a brick house.
Did you bring the razor knife?
Yep. You want it?
Yeah.
Now, it's also very important whenever you do this that you put the drop cloth down on the floor at the interior, so that way you can catch all of the debris that might fall in instead of letting it get on the nice pretty floors. And if you notice what's happening here, a utility knife is used right up against the main frame of the window and the drywall, and the purpose of that is to cut away any caulking or paint that's been applied through the years. Where that's going to help you out tremendously is whenever you do collapse that frame. If you do not do this, the drywall is going to come out with the frame. And so in doing so with the utility knife, you're going to leave all the drywall intact. Now the glass, the way that that comes out, there's a rubber strip that goes around the perimeter of it. You pull the rubber strip out, then you simply take a heat gun and a putty knife, and you very patiently and slowly heat the edge of that glass, melting all of the sealant around the perimeter of it. Now sometimes we hear about folks that show up with a crowbar and they just stick it right through the window and they break all the glass out. That is not a good way to do things, folks. It is not very clean, and it leaves broken glass behind for your customers to find. Alright, now that we've got all the glass out, all that's left is just the primary main frame, and also what we would call the center meeting rail, which is just the rail that goes up and down on a window that slides, or it would go left and right on a window that goes up and down. It's actually the rail that would hold the lock on it. Once the glass is out, we're ready to just pop it with a hammer or a crowbar, and that'll break it right off. We would have liked to have seen them get it done in maybe 1 or 2 swings.
No.
Now to protect the bricks, we'll always want to use a block of wood up against there. And then just twist that frame right on out of there. And if you notice, the nail fin is coming out too. Not only the nail fin, but even the nails that secured it. And remember, we cut the drywall and the caulking back, so all of our drywall is staying right intact. No damage to the drywall at all. And now the window frame is completely out, and so now our task is to take care of all of the excess caulking that's along the edge of the drywall. We'll clean that up nice and neat, so that way we don't worry. We've got a nice clean caulk line. We'll clean up all the caulk along the edge of the brick to allow that window to slide past it. And sometimes the mortar that sticks out right here will protrude out too far, and we've got to smooth that off to allow for the new window to come into place. Now our frame opening has been all cleaned of all the excess caulking, all the excess mortar. Now we just go ahead and vacuum up all of the dust in preparation for putting the insulation into the brick wall. Okay. All right, now we have our window out. The frame is clean. We're ready now to put the foam insulation inside of here. Now, if you remember earlier, I showed you the very first row of bricks going around the perimeter of it, and how the bricklayer didn't put any mortar in between some of the bricks on the first row all the way around the house. That's the weep holes allowing that wall to be able to breathe. And what will happen is that wind comes up through here into the cavity and then exits around the perimeter of the window between the wall and the frame. And if you notice, you can see some of the wood going around the perimeter of it. You're only seeing about a ½ inch of it sticking out. What you're actually looking at is you're looking at the stud of the house. And that's actually what we're going to screw to. The window, the new window, is actually going to fit exactly where the old one fit previously, butting right up against the back side of the drywall and the back side of the sill down here. Okay, but at this time, we're going to go ahead and spray that with the foam all the way around the perimeter of it, filling that cavity up. That's going to stop the draft coming around. Folks, this is probably the most important part of the installation. If this is not done, and you can't use the fiberglass insulation, for a simple fact is, up here there was some mortar kind of sticking up against the stud. You wouldn't have been able to get the fiberglass insulation in there. So you'd be kind of halfway doing it. Filling it up with foam is going to fill up all of those small, tiny cracks. I can't stress it enough, the importance of having the foam going around the perimeter of the opening before the new window goes into place. Alright, our entire opening now is filled with foam all the way around the perimeter of it. That's going to stop any of those drafts coming in that we've been talking about. Now folks, it's very important the type of foam that you pick. We have to use the low distortion, low expansion polyurethane foam, and this is not the cheap stuff that you would get at Home Depot or Lowe's, like you've heard of the great stuff. That actually has an ingredient inside of it that will void the warranty on the vinyl frame. So very important that you do use a high quality, low expansion type foam. We do have some folks that are in the business that will tell you you shouldn't be using this foam at all around here, because what it'll do is it'll push the bricks off the house. Now folks, even if you use the great stuff that has a real high expansion, I have never seen that stuff push bricks off of a house. So don't be scared into not doing something properly and correctly. Alright, but this is going to stop all the drafts coming around the perimeter of the house. Once foam has been applied around the entire perimeter, it is now time to set our window into the opening. And he's going to try and make the frame just a little bit lighter by removing the sash that's operating. Just make it a little bit easier to handle setting it into the opening. Now remember what I said about measuring the window and making it to where it's 1/8 of an inch. All of our cuts can be made in 1/8 inch increments, and we get a nice tight fit. The way we like to say here at Lanham Window Company, if it ain't tight, it ain't right. Alright folks, now we have a completed window project. Caulked up nice and neatly on the inside using an acrylic latex caulk. We use an acrylic latex caulk because it's paintable. If we use the silicone that is provided with the windows and compatible with the vinyl frame window, it's not paintable. So we only use the silicone type caulk on the exterior of the home where it seals up against the bricks. If it has wood trim, 1x4s or 1x2s trim in the exterior, then we'll use an acrylic latex to caulk it as well. Screws were put at each corner and then again at this what we call the center meeting rail. So each window should get 6 screws in it. If it were 7 or 8 foot tall, we'd put an additional screw on each side.